Okay, going to make a recap on today's trades. I said in yesterday's video that it would only take one really good trade to make back all the losses I had yesterday, and fortunately, in the first 30 minutes of trading today, I was able to take that one really good trade and wiped out about 90% of yesterday's loss. Um, it's nice to get that back so quick. I'll go through what I was watching and the trade that I took. So the main watches I had was CPOP. Thought process here was that we've had this big run, a couple of days of price action moving higher from around about $1.50 all the way to $3.60, looking for it to have that first red day. CYTO was similar, however it was gapping down quite a bit, which made it less likely to give a move lower. ISIG, I was watching just to see what it was going to do. We've had a lot of volatility on this name recently. We've got a lot of shorts that were trapped that have been squeezed, and there was always a potential for it to do that again today. MBOT, I was keeping an eye on for short. However, because it's been choppy the last couple of days and we're trading towards the lows of the consolidation period we've set, I really wanted to wait for it to break that 731 or push back up to 960 before taking a trade. RELI was gapping up, and I didn't really know whether I wanted to go long or short this, so I waited for the first 15 minutes to see if there'd be a trap on either side to look for a long or a short. And then SOPA, I'm keeping an eye on this one. We can see that this area down here around about the 1250, if this breaks, there's a very good chance that it will have another sell-off into the next support area, which would probably be around about the $9.90, $10 area. So just keeping an eye on that to see if it can break 1251. I do have today the recording, so we will bring up what I traded. I'll move me out the way so we can see all of that. So the trade that I ended up taking was on CPOP. I'll go through after this a very small trade I had on ISIG, which was a bit of a gamble play, which I'm not as pleased of, but in the end it didn't cost me anything, so that's all fine. And we can see here that CPOP at the open has gapped down, it's sold off, and I've marked the high of day at 299. The reason I've done that is I want to see it either break that and then fail, or at least put some pressure towards that with a lot of buying power coming in. To signal that longs have tried to take back control, and then if they fail, the backside is in, the short is in play. I just sort of like speed through this. We can see that we do take out VWAP again. We test high of day, and we do end up taking it out, as well as the $3 mark. I'll speed this through a little bit. Once we take out that $3 and we pull back pretty quickly, I was pretty interested in taking a potential short on this. And the way I plan out my trades is well in advance, so I know where I'm getting in, where my target or targets are, and crucially, if I want to get out in one exit or multiple exits. I did some research on some of my trades a few days ago and found that on a stock like CPOP, which is 2 days, which is up quite a lot, but it's not crazy high. It hasn't had like a week of running, and it certainly hasn't got a ton of retail traders' interest. You're best just to get out one exit at the first target and call it a day. So you can see here on the 5 minute, I do notice and mark out the potential area of supports. We've got 285 and then crucially this area at 265. So before the trades is anywhere close to even triggering, I know that I'm going to be getting in. If we break back under VWAP, shorting into VWAP, I'm going to add through the low of day at 285 and I'm going to target to get all out around about 265. This for me takes away a lot of the emotion out of it. I don't have to think on my feet all that much. It's a lot more straightforward, a lot less of my brain is having to focus on the exits, the entries, and it's much more focused on the task in hand at that moment. So just speed through this again. We do end up coming down. We take out VWAP, and at this point, I put in an order to get filled 700 shares at 291, which is about a cent below VWAP. And we do get filled, which got filled right there, and it does end up squeezing back through VWAP. This is all part of my trade plan. I'm accepting that this can happen, and we came pretty quickly down to low of day. The way I manage trades is once 285 has broken and I add in another 300 shares in this instance, I would move my stop to 298, as that was the that would be sort of like the most recent high since the low of day broke. So low of day does break. Speed through that. I didn't actually get filled immediately. It was a little bit frustrating at the time. I have a limit order, stop limit order. So as soon as 284 gets printed, I had a limit order in the market at 283. Unfortunately, it skipped through that, which can happen. It's unfortunate when it does, but that's part of trading. I did get some shares filled, so I ended up having about 776, 775 shares, at an average of around about 290, but I couldn't get my full position filled. Came down, set a low of 273, and I ended up adding back into position at 284, which is where I would have liked to have been filled. And at this point, I was able to then set my range order for 1,000 shares with a low price of 267 and a high price of 296. My average position was 288.8, so I had around about $70 to $80 of risk depending on slippage. And if I got filled, I'd be looking at making just under $220. So it's around about a 3 to 1, just under a 3 to 1, which is fairly common with the way I trade, to get that kind of risk reward. And in this instance, like I said, because it isn't a stock that has had multiple days running, I'm looking to get all out at my first target at 265. Just speed through this again, and we can see that when low of day got taken out, it pretty quickly got down to my target area, and I get filled right in here. Just play it all the way through. I got filled right there. And that locked in a really solid trade of $218.24. The big thing here as well is because I got my initial position in on the ask, adding liquidity. I then got out my full position, obviously adding liquidity, and my add was in the end adding liquidity. I don't think I paid any fees on this. The only costs were the borrows of shares, of shorts rather, and they came to around $22, but I was able to get a rebate on that. So in the end, it only cost me $15.50. We can see on this chart here that we caught a really nice move, having an average of 289, and we caught it all the way down to the support level. So I was really happy with that trade. I executed it really well. It gave the move I was hoping for. Bring me back. And we can see that although we did test out those lows again, we didn't really go any further. So the low of day was 263, so I managed to get 4 cents off the lows, and we did end up pushing back higher and squeezing. So had I stuck to my normal approach, or what my approach used to be, where I was piecing out and taking half at target 1, a quarter at target 2, quarter at target 3, I'd have most likely only made about $100 on this trade. So it just goes to show that doing a bit of research and backtesting on your own trades really can improve your P&L over just a couple of trades. I'll quickly go through the one other trade I took, which was on ISIG. Like I said, this was a bit of a lottery play and not the best one. Thought process here was that if it could take out the previous day's high, anybody who took it short during this day would probably be squeezed. This is a stock that has quite a high short interest. I think there was 50% shorts interest on the 15th of December. It might be in a different one, but there was a very high short interest in this. Some of the shorts on day one would have been squeezed out, but everybody who is short is probably going to be getting out this if it goes over 30, or a big chunk of them. So pre-market, I actually took this one long first in here, and then I added into the position here, and I ended up with 40 shares at an average of $29.05. The idea here was simply that if we do take out the $30 mark, and then as the market opens, buyers come in and shorts get squeezed, there's a potential for this to halt up almost immediately. And if it trades like it did yesterday, it could then open significantly higher. Given that we had the previous day's high, the whole dollar of 30, and this level of 35.50 in range, the plan was that if it could halt up, it would probably halt around the $33, $34 mark. If it then opened above 35, we might get another push higher. So I was really looking at a very, very good risk reward play. It did pop at the open, but unfortunately sold off pretty quickly, and I ended up stopping out for a scratch. I took a $2.70 loss on it. I think when you include fees, that would be around about $6.70. So essentially a scratch trade. And that was all there was today. It was a really good day. Good discipline, other than the ISIG pre-market stuff, but good discipline to just take that one trade on CPOP and then walk away. There were a few other potential opportunities. RELI may have been a good short. It did have this false move off the open, pull back, and then you could have got short into VWAP. But with these trades, what I tend to find is that there is a potential for shorts to get trapped below VWAP. If it then squeezes, it can rip. So I always prefer to wait for that push and then this kind of sell off here to then look to get short into, because we know that at that point longs have probably lost interest in it. There are enough shorts to hold it back, and the likelihood of squeezing decreases. It would have been a potential trade if it had come into this area here, yeah, getting short around the 730s, adding on the break of $7, and then probably looking to get some out at this high here at 671, and then holding on for a bigger move. And in the end, it wouldn't have given that. So there wasn't really any other opportunities. SOPA hopefully tomorrow will give a setup around the 1250 mark for a short. Ironically enough, this gave the same pattern that it gave yesterday that didn't work. False breakout in the morning, held the 50 EMA, rejected the VWAP. Could have waited for it to break the 50 EMA, then got a VWAP, but a short in either of these areas would have been nice, adding through low of day, and then looking for maybe 2 exits on this one, given that it is a more of a multi-day type play. But I'm glad I didn't take it because it wasn't extended enough. But it could have been quite a nice play. And it just goes to show that the pattern I took yesterday probably still was profitable. I just need to wait for this move higher, ideally, and we didn't really have that today. So did a pretty good job. So that was today. Pretty happy with it. And yeah, check out the blog for more.